Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Rosie King from Corporate Training Options and I'm glad you were able to join us today. Are you able to allow me to share my screen? There we go. I'm just going to share some slides with you to get us started. So thank you for joining our leadership webinar. Today our host is Jacky Hanan, who ran the first part of this leadership session last week. Today we're talking on leadership and versatility. Jacky is an experienced executive leader, having spent more than 25 years leading large teams through significant change and transformation. Jacky is also one of our brilliant CTO facilitators. Fast fact for you, did you know that 71% of organisations do not feel that their leaders are able to lead them into the future? So today we're going to address that and learn how versatility as a leader can enable you to achieve improved performance from your team. Please feel free to ask questions via the chat. We do like the webinars to be interactive and we welcome any questions that you may have while the webinar is running. I've got a question for you to get you started. I'd love it if you would let us know why you came along today and why leadership is important to you. Please feel free to put your answers in the chat to that. It gives us some really good feedback on why people have joined us today. And last but not least, if you could just let us know where you're from. Are you working in the corporate sector, government or small to medium business? If you could just pop that in the chat as a shortened version there that you can see, that would be great. Thank you everyone. I'm now going to hand you over to Jacky to start her webinar. Thanks Jacky.
Thank you. Have you got it? Okay, lovely. Welcome back everybody to my part 2 of leadership, and in which today we're going to talk a little bit further about the idea of your behavioural style and social styles, and then at the end I'm going to talk to you about the difference with versatility and what that can make to your performance. So we'll go back over the behaviour styles for those that weren't with us last week and just give you a bit of a recap on things. I'm going to add to that then, sorry about that, going to add to that then the needs, tendency and growth of each style. We'll talk about versatility and then we're going to recap again on improving your effectiveness with others. Last week we spoke about understanding your behaviour and others' behaviour, and you remember that we talked about the 4 behavioural styles that were identified. What I wanted to add to this further after I thought about it was I didn't really explain to you how this model came about. And in the 1950s, 2 men, Roger Reed and Dr. David Merrill, did a research partnership with GE globally and also the American Air Force, and they actually ran over 200,000 surveys of managers right across the globe to then find out what constitutes a good leader. And that is how they came up with all of this data. And what we talk about in our programs is around people display behaviours that you can see or hear, but you cannot understand somebody's personality. That is something that is within inside of them, and that is a work in progress for you to then be able to communicate effectively with them. However, this research showed us that somebody is on an axis, and that is they are either controlling or they are emotional. They're asking or they're telling. So on that axis then, they were able to derive from that they displayed 4 behaviours. They're either a driver behaviour, expressive, amiable or analytical. And if they were analytical, they were more asking and controlling of their emotions. But if they were expressive, they were more emotional and telling of the tasks that they wanted to have done. So quickly, I just want to recap that if they were expressive behaviours that they displayed, They need personal approval. They communicate, they're warm, approachable, competitive, faster paced. And what you need to do when you're dealing with these people is to ask closed questions, close them down, because they're ideas people. So you want to build rapport with them. You want to help them focus, minimize too much detail, pick up the pace and share their enthusiasm. With analytical people, they need to be right. So they're uncommunicative, they're cool, they're independent, cooperative, they use facts and avoid risks. Therefore, if you're going to deal with somebody like that you work with, who are not really emoting their what I've done today or what my dog is doing or anything like that, they're focused, what you need to do is provide information to them with service. So don't think, they're stuck up or they're not interested. They are thinkers and they need all the facts and figures to help them come to the right answer. So we need to take time to be accurate with analytical behaviours. Driving behaviours, we actually need to present results. Driving behaviours are usually reflected from your CEO or somebody that's running a business or is in charge of a major project. They don't want to hear about your weekend. They don't want to know about your pets. They basically want to find out what you've done. What have you been able to achieve for them? So they'll also be uncommunicative, cool, independent, competitive, and they use facts and they take risks. So these type of people are controlling and they're telling. Those people, we're going to talk about what they need to do to be effective with the rest of us who might be different behaviours. How can a driver get somebody to work cooperatively with them to achieve the results that they want? I didn't realise this was going to do the thing, so we'll just quickly click all these open for you. What I wanted to share differently with you this week, and as I said, I mentioned Roger Reed and David Merrill, is that an analytical person, as I described to you, they need to be right. Their orientation, so what they tend to do is think a lot. And their growth action, so their opportunity to improve on their performance is to declare, to make a decision. The driving people, they need results. They tend to gravitate towards action, and their growth action is to listen. So sometimes driving people are so focused on your actual result, they don't listen to how you've perhaps made changes or done things. So they need to listen in order to get the results that they want. Expressive people, they need personal approval. They tend to be spontaneous and their growth action is to check. And what that means is for expressive people, they need to look at the detail. Sometimes they have really great big picture ideas and they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. You worry about the detail. They actually need to check and look a little bit more at detail. And I must have missed a slide, but this amiable one, for those, for those of you that didn't see what we did last week, amiable people are the ones that are softly spoken and agree to everything. They want to be your friend. They don't want to have any conflict. So they need personal security. Their orientation is towards relationships. So they like you to ask about their weekend, about their pet rabbit or whatever. Their growth action, though, is to initiate. And an example of that is when you're in a team, you will have somebody in that team that just agrees with you and says, yes, I'm happy to do that. No problem. Yep, that'll be fine. Okay, yes, yes, yes. What you have to be aware of is that inside they're saying, I don't like this, or I'm going to do something different. So what we do with those people is we actually ask them questions and say, okay, I understand that you're okay with this, but could you let me know of any challenges you think you might face or anything that you might not be comfortable with so that we can work towards a solution for you? I have worked with people like this before, And the key is to ask them questions so that you find out what they're not happy about, because if you don't, they'll go away and do whatever they want anyway. And expressive people often don't listen to the details, but they too want to have a relationship with you. So you'll see they're below the axis, and they are emotional people. Driving and analytical people are quite cool and non-communicative. So don't worry about those people. An example quickly for analytical is when I worked with a large company that had sales and shops everywhere, and they said, oh, we hate the tire kickers. Often when people ask for brochures and lots of information, and they then go, well, look, I'm going to think about it and I'll come back, and you walk away as a salesperson or a service person and go, well, that was a big waste of time. It's not a waste of time. Analytical people will take time to make a decision. And remember, their growth action is to declare. So you have to think about, you have to think about, how am I providing enough information and helping them come to the right decision without having them walk away. If you find that they are still wanting to ask questions and read, etc., what you do with those people is let them walk away, but then suggest to them, can I call you in 2 days' time and see if I can answer any further questions for you? I'm sure that you will have more questions, so I'm happy to give you a call, and try and keep them in the relationship to buy the big coloured tally. Does anyone have any thoughts on that or any questions? No? Okay, we'll keep going. So with all of their study that they did, they identified these 4 behavioural styles that occur. They also discovered that people will move through the different styles under different circumstances. So it is possible for you to behave as an analytical or a driver sometimes, but you predominantly gravitate to one style. What they discovered in the 200,000 surveys that they did, that the success of any one of those behaviours, and as I said to you last week, no behaviour is better than another, and that you, whether you're a driver or an amiable, expressive or analytical, you can be an effective leader. And that doesn't mean that you're a manager. You could be an effective leader within your team if you display versatility. So people consciously and subconsciously observe and evaluate each other's behaviour as they interact with one another. There were 4 key categories of behaviour that are often evaluated by the others. So this is what they discovered were important to people when being led or interacting with people. And that is, number 1, their image. And what I'll do, I haven't put it in slides, but I'm going to just read through some as to what image means. Do you dress appropriately for the role and the responsibility? Or do you dress to please yourself? What does your work area say about you? And what's your general demeanour? Interestingly enough, the image within versatility only makes up 5% of the complete package of versatility. Your presentation is around, are you comfortable when presenting to groups? Is your presentation organised? Do you seek input from your audience? Do you ask for questions and comments? Do you tailor your presentations based on people's style characteristics? And does your style itself impact your presentation? You know, how many times do we think about the people that are going to be attending? You know, if they're analytical type styles, they're going to want detail. They're going to want proof that this is the right way to go. Driving people will be looking for results. Well, what's all this training going to give me? So they'll want to know at the end of it that they've come out with a result. So can you understand that each time you go to present to any group, it's a really good idea to get the names, their positions, and to observe them during your initial setup, because you will be able to pick up signs as to what they are. And then in that case, when you're presenting, you'll be able to modify your behaviour to each person as you ask them a question, knowing what they are looking for in your presentation. So going back to the need of each style is important for you in order to get success. And that is to get people on the bus driving the same direction, or on the boat with you paddling the same direction. The competence side of things is, how knowledgeable are you about your job? How aware are you of what others might see you as? Are you reliable, flexible? Are you optimistic? Do you persevere through challenging circumstances? So if one of your staff members or a team member has a challenge, do you persevere and support them and help them and try and help them come to the right answer? The fourth thing that constitutes a good leader is, are you an active listener? That is in your feedback. Do you adapt your communication to other styles? See things from other people's point of view, that you're not just set on your own opinion or your own need. And are your interpersonal relationships with co-workers valuable? Are they good? Do you get on well with others? And it is constantly a work in progress. So this is all about that whole thing when we spoke about last week about doing something for others. It is around your ability to be versatile. And versatility is a measure of how well you work with others, regardless of your style or their style. Successful leaders adapt their behaviours and do something for others. And when I say that, what I mean is, when we're dealing with others, the key is to work out what is their need. If you have a conversation with somebody that turns a little bit tense, start thinking about, what am I saying that is not meeting their need? Because the whole premises of leadership is to get others to support and respect you. Because when they do, they follow your lead. They follow you on the bus. They paddle with you on the boat. But when they don't support and respect you, that is when you will run into conflict and people working the other way. So working to increase your versatility is a choice. You don't have to do it. You can just act as a driver and all those things, but you will butt heads with other people and you will not have people cooperate with you to get to your end goal. I've got to tell you that it is really difficult. It is a constant work in progress being a leader and trying to display your versatility and adapt to different people. I know I'm always making mistakes, making misjudgments, but I try to go back and reflect and learn from that. So it's not always possible to display your versatility constantly. Sometimes you get a bit frustrated. Versatility is different from likability, so remember that. People don't have to like you, but you do want them to respect and support you. Versatility is perceived differently by people of different styles. Appropriate use of image, presentation, competence, and feedback leads to higher versatility. And that's what they discovered was the key to being a good leader. So in finishing, I'm just going to go over what we went over last week. So improving your effectiveness with others as a leader is to know yourself. Take the time to reflect after me sharing some of this information with you, to know about the impression you make on others and how your behavioural preferences can cause tension for others. So thinking about a driver who wants results, if I just went on talking about my weekend and my dogs and my garden and everything else I do, I would frustrate them to the nth degree. So know yourself and the impression that you have. Control yourself. So learn to be tolerant of others' behaviours without becoming tense. Now when you see somebody or hear somebody on the phone that rings up and just goes, basically, "Good morning, I want to speak to Jacky Hanan." In the past, as a receptionist, I would have gone, "What a rude pig." But no, I don't do that anymore. I now go, "They are a driver," and I'm going to say, "Certainly, Mr. Smith, putting you through right now." They're just busy. They're fast working people. They're not horrible people. No others. So observe others' behaviours to learn about their tension levels, how they respond to your messages, and what you can do to make the interaction more comfortable and effective. The better you are at reading people and understanding what makes them behave in the way you want them to, the more results you'll get. So having little notes about people is okay too. Whenever I call Jackie, make sure I ask her about her dogs. Whenever I speak to John, make sure I don't talk about the weekend with him, those sort of things. And then do something for others. So once you know what makes another person comfortable, try and accommodate their preferences. And that is, try and communicate with them in the way that they are comfortable with, so that they will get on your boat and row the way you want them to. That's the trick of being a leader, learning to adapt your behaviour to help others achieve success. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, you can Google David Merrill and Roger Reed. You can find out more about their research. We cover a lot of this in our customer service programs, and also our customer excellence programs. And also, I think Rosie's going to speak about the leadership programs as well. But otherwise, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jackie. There were some great points there. Really enjoyed your presentation, and I know that everybody else did as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It'd be really great for me to have, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat, what did you learn, or what was your biggest takeaway from today's webinar? What was your biggest aha moment? For me, it was your example, Jackie, of when a rude person answers the phone, because I remember that as a very young person in the early days of working, and people would be like that, and you'd be like, oh gosh, I know exactly how you felt. So thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, when moving forward in your professional life, you have a choice. So we've reached a fork in the road, guys. One of my favourite slides. To improve your skills as a leader, you can go slow, or you can save time and fast track your learning. You can do it yourself via trial or error, and maybe get a little bit frustrated and take a lot longer to get there. Or you can have training from professionals who are experts in their field to help you in the shift from A to B to become a great leader. How much would your leadership improve if you had training from the experts like Jackie and the very large group of professional expert trainers that we have here at CTO? What impact would training have on you as a person, and also the organisation that you work for and your team? Good things to think about. Now, our defining leadership course is the Learning to Lead leadership course, and if you would like to make an inquiry about the leadership course, please just put a 1 in the chat channel. If you'd like to register for the training, please just put a 2 in the chat channel. The other option is Blake can take you to the course inquiry page, and he's going to put the link into the chat channel for you now if you'd like to make an inquiry about the Learning to Lead course. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah, great. And also, if you're ready to go, put your hand up and want some leadership training straight off the bat. We've also got a, you can go straight to the course registration for the Learning to Lead course, and Blake's going to put the link into the chat for you for that as well right now. Yeah, great. Oops. There we go. So consider what options this opens up for you and how your life would be different if you had this training. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you with us, and I look forward to seeing you on our next presentation. Next week, we're going back to a technology webinar on Microsoft Teams. So if anyone's interested in coming along, please feel free to join us. Thanks very much, and bye for now. And thank you again, Jackie.